Well, let's start with the principle today. In the Christian life, what often looks like subtraction is God's way of doing addition. And that's the principle. And you see, we clutch at things we think we cannot live without, only to discover that the Lord is not a taker who in life is trying to leave us empty-handed, but he is an exchanger who gives us something if we follow, something far more satisfying to our souls than our original desire could ever conceive. This principle is beautifully illustrated in both our lectionary readings today. In the first, Abraham is tested at Mount Moriah when God asks for the ultimate surrender, the son he loved. And with knife raised, God seems to be taking everything away. Yet by the narrative's end, Abraham discovers that God is the God who provides. He even names that the mountain. On the mountain of the Lord it shall be provided. He thought he was going up a mountain of loss. In the end, it turned out he was on a mountain of provision. There it is. The Lord does not take away without giving more. The same principle echoes in our second reading too, in even a more important way, Romans 6. Where Paul calls us to give up our sins, things we want and cling to. Now, we often wrongly think we don't want to sin. That's what we're trying to get rid of. But if that were the case, you wouldn't sin. Now, all sins are committed by wanting them. That's the biblical teaching. You have never sinned without at one point wanting that thing you sinned in. So an honest look at Paul's exhortation is that he is asking us to hand over things we want, lusts, cravings, desires. And handing them over with eyes open can sometimes feel like a wound. It looks like God is going to leave us with a hollow ache in our chest where a pleasure used to be. But here is the wonderful paradox of following Christ. What feels like loss in the call of Christ is actually the path of life and fullness in the grace of Christ. This is, of course, truest at the cross. You march up to the cross a sinner with no true self-respect. You march down from it a saint and a son of God clothed as and in God's Son. So see the grace and learn the lesson. God never takes away without giving back far more of himself. We're in the place where God seems to demand it all. He supplies far more. The Lord who met with Abraham meets with us still. It looks like a place of surrender that you are marching up into, but you too will find a place of provision that you march down from. And this reminds us of our need to confess. Hear this from Psalm 79. And do not remember my former iniquities. Let your tender mercies come speedily to meet us, for we have been brought very low. So if you're with us today and are able, you're invited to kneel. Come. Let us worship and bow down. Kneel before the Lord our God, our Maker.